Diamond Niners Weekly for Week 5 of the 2025 season. I am Nick, joined as always by Kevin.
Hey, what's up, Niner Nation?
With producer Brad making it all go.
Hey.
Okay, folks, we appreciate you all choosing to spend some time with us this week. If you like what we're doing, make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. You can do the same thing on Spotify. You can also find Diamond Niner Report all over social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but never TikTok. All right, so we have got, I'm just going to be honest with you, the loyal listening audience. We've got a busy show tonight. We're recording it on a little different night. It's Monday. We're usually not recording on Monday night for baseball, but it is a crazy week schedule. So we're recording on a little different night. And man, we've just got a really full show for you tonight. So if you're one of those people, and we've talked to you, they're like, geez, sometimes I have to break your show up and listen to it in two parts. This might be a two-parter for you tonight. Although I think it's going to be good enough that you might want to just do it all in one listening. Okay? So, Kevin, producer Brad, did we or did we not have an awesome weekend at the Hayes?
Awesome weekend.
Yeah, hard to get better than what we saw this weekend. We ran the whole gamut of great things that happen on the baseball field. You got a no-hitter. You got a walk-off home run. And you got a sweep. We saw all that. But you can't ask for more in a weekend.
The weather on Saturday was perfect.
Yeah, tailgate too. We had a tailgate. That was a great part of the weekend.
We had a great tailgate on Saturday. If you're wanting to get in on that, we're going to be tailgating all Saturday home games. We'll put reminders about that on social media. But man, the weather was perfect. We had a great tailgate in lot 23. If you're ever looking for us tailgating, if you know Zach and Emily Hill, they have a tailgating trailer that holds all the equipment. And I think Zach flies, Kevin. I don't know how many flags that Zach flies at his tailgate, but it's a lot of flags.
Like a dozen, I think.
Yeah. So if you ever see if you're like, well, where's everybody hanging out at pregame? Look for like a display of like a dozen Niner flags all flying at one time. We're probably somewhere near the base of those flags. It was just a wonderful day on campus, gorgeous weather. Like you said, man, if you didn't like what happened at the Hayes this weekend, you just don't like baseball. I don't know. You just don't like the Niners. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you if you weren't having fun at the Hayes this weekend. And it was a great crowd all weekend long. So obviously, Kevin, getting the sweep was huge. But the real story, which we're going to dig into the real story here, but the common theme all weekend was pitching, particularly starting pitching.
Yeah, Coach switched up the rotation a little bit, tweaked it a little bit going into the weekend. We talked about that last show, and Friday night ended up working out to perfection almost. Well, not quite perfection. There was one walk, but almost
one walk away from perfection.
Yeah. And then Friday, we got another great start from Cribbs, quality start from him. I think he allowed 2 earned runs. And then Sunday, had a great start.
Sebastian Perez.
Yes. He got his number called, and he stepped up to the challenge and got us, I think he had 6 2/3. Was it 6 2/3?
Yeah, so there's 27. Check me on my math here, boys. You know, I do history, not math. But 27 innings in a weekend, in theory. And our starting pitching went 21 2/3 of an inning while giving up what I think crediting for 3 earned runs, maybe
3 earned runs. And so if you do the math, that gives you 5+ innings for a bullpen for a whole weekend. So that's sufficient. That's efficiency right there as far as pitching.
Yeah.
Especially now in our situation, we got 10 games or 8 games in 10 days.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of that stretch right now. We're 3-0 starting out of that stretch, and that's gonna pay off for us Tuesday, Wednesday, and the weekend.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and mention that now. So we've covered our bases, Kevin. This is a big week for the Niners. We're talking to you on Monday. There's no baseball being played on Monday. Tuesday at App State, 6 p.m. up in Boone. We're going to go up there to see all these gorgeous leaves they're always tweeting out. For some reason, I think we're going to be disappointed. Back home at 6 p.m. on Wednesday against the Davidson Wildcats, which we owe them from last year. And we're going to take Thursday off and then head down to UNC Wilmington for a 3-game set down there, which is huge. This could be like this weekend at UNC Wilmington, to me, I think has like regional vibes to it.
Right. I agree. We talked about this importance of these after that Arkansas series, the next 8 games or so, next 10 days after that, how important it would be to our season and leading up into conference play. And yes, this series got even bigger. We built ourselves a big cushion here with a 3-game sweep over JMU, a good Sun Belt Conference team, in a regional last year. And we're going to face another perennial regional team at UNCW this weekend. Definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, game times on those. We said 6 and 6 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Down at UNC Wilmington, 6 o'clock on Friday night, 4 o'clock on Saturday. 4 o'clock on Saturday, and the weather's supposed to be really nice. That screams tailgate to me, Kevin. And then 2 o'clock on Sunday before we head back to the Queen City. So it's a big week, big weekend of baseball. The starting pitching, saving the bullpen for these 2 midweeks could not have come at a better time. This, we talk about this all the time, Kevin. When you're in coaching, you get paid to make decisions. And when they work out, you look like a genius. When they don't work out, everybody wants to know, well, why did he do that? Armchair quarterback kind of thing. Man, that pitching coach, he sure looked good this weekend.
Yeah, they looked good last weekend. I mean, we pitched well. We've been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
But this weekend was over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, rather than, the Friday was, I don't know, Kevin. I mean, I try not to rank moments because, I think about like moments and memories is sort of like you're building a house, right? You're building a brick house and all these different bricks make up that house. And if somebody comes along and says, well, which one of those bricks is your favorite? Well, how do you decide? How do you decide which one of the bricks is they all play a role in building that house, right? Well, if Charlotte baseball is a brick house, it's hard to pick out individual bricks, individual memories and say, well, that was my favorite. But man, Friday night was on another level.
Yes. I've been to hundreds, if not thousands, of minor league, college, MLB games, and that was the first no-hitter I've seen in person. So I'll never forget that night. And it was, it was dominant. Blake was bringing it in the 9th inning. So out of all the games that I've been through in my life, and I've been to a lot of baseball games, I've sat next to you for a lot of them too. We saw one very close. We saw 8 2/3.
Matt Brooks.
2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
We saw 8 2/3, and that was the closest we've been until Friday, and we saw it all the way through.
I'd have to go back, and I'm probably just not going to do it. But how over time your memory plays tricks on you. But we saw we've seen Andrew Smith, Tyler Barnett, Adam Mills. It seems like we saw some no hitters maybe go like 7. thinking back like 8-10 days, we had some really good pitching, particularly like on Friday nights back then, and we saw some pretty dominant performances. But yeah, Matty getting to 8 2/3, and then losing it out there in center field was as close as we've gotten until Friday night. I think I started feeling it, Kevin, when he struck out the side in the 8th. And I was like, oh, wow. But I think when it really hit me was when Dawson Bryce made the play behind third base, because that ball could have gotten through. That ball could have found a way down the left field line. And Dawson was behind the bag.
Yeah, he was in foul territory. And that ball, he could have beat that out easily, too. I mean, he made a great throw. He got a lot of velo on it, and perfect throw to get the out. A lot of things could go wrong in a situation like that, especially with a no-hitter. Some guys tighten up. Some guys tighten up in tense situations like that. And Dawson Bryce made a hell of a play to get that out in the ninth.
Yeah, that's the moment when I felt like, oh, yeah, this is really going to happen, isn't it? So really cool. But I tell you what, let's just, rather than talking about the no-hitter, why don't we shift gears? Remember, folks, all appearances on Diamond Niners Weekly are brought to you by the Niners Collective, whose mission is simple: enhance the lives of Charlotte 49ers student athletes and empower them to create successful futures through personal and professional development while earning their degrees and competing on the field as proud members of the 49er family. For more information, check them out on the web at NinersCollective.com. Check them out. Our buddy Randy Peterson, who we saw at the ballpark this weekend. Make sure to support them in any way you can. That being said, rather than talking about a no-hitter, let's talk to the guy that's thrown one. Please welcome on right-handed pitcher Blake Gillespie.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, man?
Not much. Just having a good night.
What do guys that have thrown a no-hitter on Friday do on Monday nights?
I mean, slept in a little bit, didn't have class today, and then off day, but went to the field, got my throwing in, and pretty standard day, to be honest.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, first of all, I know your phone's been blowing up. You've gotten texts, you've gotten tweets, you've gotten messages 100 different ways, but just right here, let us say, man, just congratulations. That was so awesome.
Thank you.
We'd like to talk to you about sort of your background, but I think we have to start on Friday, and maybe we'll work our way back if that's okay. So I want to give you a chance to talk about sort of your day on Friday, meaning I know you guys, no athlete, especially not a pitcher of your caliber, you don't go to the mound thinking, man, I don't have it today, right? That's not your mindset. You're going up there to get people out and take care of business every time you go up there. But like, you gotta have start days that feel different than others. So like, how are you feeling on Friday? Were you like, did you wake up feeling like, man, I got it today?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I usually am pretty loose no matter what. On start day, I try to be, and then get a little dialed in closer to when the game happens. But woke up, felt normal like I usually do, and was just sitting on the couch with my roommates, like messing around before the game. Went to the field. Everything was normal. And I remember telling Andrew Cribbs, like 30 minutes before the game, it was like, dude, this just feels like such a high school game. Just like, I don't even know what I meant by that, but just felt super loose, felt like, everything was in my control. So felt good going into it. And then, warm up on the line started, kind of went blank mind, and then didn't really have too many thoughts until the game finished.
Yeah, sometimes when you pitch a game like that, you kind of black out or you blank out on some of the memories. Thinking back to that Friday night, you've had a couple days to think about it. what do you have any plays that stood out to you? Your teammates made to help ensure that no hitter.
Yeah, there was plenty. I mean, you guys mentioned Dawson's play at third there, the second to last out. I mean, that was huge. That ball could have easily gone down the line and ended it. And thinking back earlier in the game, Noah Furch in right field, tracking down that ball, making a good play at the wall. Carson Bain running in and catching a smashed line drive. Super awesome to have those outfielders and defenders behind you. It gives you the confidence to go right at him. And then, Poteet wearing one early in the game, being able to shake that off and stay in the game, like stuff like that's huge.
Right, and he threw out the only base runner that reached also. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That helps a lot when you don't have to worry about the base runners when you got Poe behind you.
Right, they didn't have a chance to learn twice not to run on Poe.
Yeah, don't know what they're doing.
Blake, is there any chance that you let that guy get on just so Blake would have a chance to do that?
Yeah, we'll put it that way. Yeah.
Hey, look, Logan, man, I know you got to get to do something. So we'll put one on and then you just hose him.
Yeah, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Hey, he was so nonchalant about it after the game, too. I talked to him and I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, we let one guy on, but I took care of him.
I know, yeah. Poe's a good guy.
Yeah, I took care of him. So, what was now where we sit? We kind of sit on the first base side, so we can't see in the dugout. But what started to happen in the dugout with your teammates as this thing wore on? Like, did everybody stay away from you? Was everybody, what was going on?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty standard for first 5-6 innings. I mean, I'm very loose on the bench. I know you guys can't see that where you sit, but I try not to be super serious. Like, it's still just a fun game. So if guys want to come up and talk, usually no problem with that. So, we were talking the whole game, and then about the 7th inning, everyone just left me alone. I was like, where'd all my friends go? Yeah, they were just leaving me alone, kind of a superstitious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always gets weird around baseball players when stuff like this happens. It's pretty funny. I noticed late in the game you were shaking off a couple signs. What talk us through your stuff on Friday night. What did you have working? What were you a little less confident in that night?
I mean, yeah, usually I'm a 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider, changeup, and I didn't throw a single changeup. It's not that it wasn't good. It's just I had my slider really working well. I think I threw like above 60% sliders on Friday. It was just my best pitch that day, so I was going to abuse it. Force them to make the action. My mindset is if I see a bad swing, I want to force the hitter to adjust to my pitch, not the other way around. So if you look ugly on a pitch, I'm probably going to throw it again.
That's right. Make them adjust to you, right?
Yeah.
So, and maybe this is obvious, but like, at what point did you? I mean, you said, well, I looked around, I was like, where my friends go? At that point, do you realize what they're doing? Do you know what's going on? Or are you so locked in on like the next batter, the next inning that you're starting to kind of realize what's happening?
I look at the scoreboard every half inning, so I mean, I knew the whole game. I saw 0 the whole time, but it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is the case, but like at the end of the day, it's outside of my control whether or not I give up a hit or not. So I'm just going to stay in my same process and just keep attacking like I do, and whatever happens is supposed to happen.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It took me a while to realize. I think it was the 7th inning. I was tracking how many pitches he's thrown. I was like, man, he's really pitching well. How many pitches? He's only had so-and-so pitches. He might be able to finish this game or get us 7 or 8. That'd be great. And then finally, about the 7th inning, I realized there's a 0 on the board, and I was like, I started getting tense.
Go ahead and tell him.
Well,
tell him what you did.
I got up to. It got a little chilly, so I got up to put my coat on, and Nick said, "Hey, where are you going, man? You're not going anywhere." I was like, "All right, man. What's wrong with you? Why are you so pushy. Just get my coat on. And then I looked up at the scoreboard. I was like, oh, let me sit on back down here, and I didn't do much talking the rest of the game either.
I thought he was about to go to the bathroom, Blake. And so 2 years ago, Matt Brooks went 8 2/3, and Kevin really needed to go to the bathroom, and like to the point where when the no hitter got broken up at 2/3, Kevin never saw the third out because he was up to the concourse. I thought he was getting ready to do that again. I thought he was getting ready to go to the bathroom, and I grabbed his arm and I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "What do you mean? I'm just putting my coat on." Like he said, he's like, "Oh," and then after that, it was, you haven't heard us say this, Blake, but we're not superstitious, but we're a little stitious.
That's a good one. I've said that one a couple times before.
Yeah, we're a little stitious. So, it all worked out. But so how would you, we're going to talk a little bit more about your career in general here, but how many people would you guess that you've heard from since Friday night?
I don't know, a couple hundred maybe.
Wow. Anybody just come out of the woodwork like, oh my gosh, where did this person come from?
Nah, nobody crazy. Just people I've shared my journey with to this point, family, friends, that type of thing, coaches.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that journey a little bit. You originally hail from Canada, yes?
Yes,
but you finished up high school in Georgia. So talk a little bit about that process and that transition. You've definitely grown up in some diversified locations, let's say. So talk a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. So I actually finished up high school in Canada. Graduated when I was 17 there, so it was still early and wasn't really heavily recruited. But aside from that, our family just had decided that it was in our best interest to move to the States, move to Georgia. So after I had graduated, we transitioned, sold our house in Canada, moved to Claremont, Georgia, and lived there. I did a post-grad year, didn't do any school, just played ball, trained, and then went into my freshman season at Georgia.
So you weren't heavily recruited out of high school after that. So during that transition year, talk about your recruiting process during that year.
Yeah, I mean, there was still recruitment up in when I was in Canada, but it was kind of tough getting looks. Not a lot of college coaches are coming up to watch guys up there, so you kind of need to bring yourself down to the States to get looks. And I was playing infield at the time as well, and only pitching a little bit. So playing short, getting looks at short, and then went down to the States, started pitching a little bit, and had some coaches kind of pull me aside and say, like, man, like, you're kind of too talented of an arm to still be hiding. So showcased myself as a pitcher, and then the recruitment kind of took off from there.
And so you wind up in Athens with University of Georgia. Tell us about your experience there. I honestly have been through Athens. We even played a series down there a handful of years ago, did we not, Kevin? That might have been around 2017 or 2016, something like that. But I've never really spent that much time in Athens.
Yeah, I liked it. It was nice. I mean, it was a good college town. It was a great university. Like both coaching staffs I had both years, just wasn't meant to be for me there. And the fortunate thing about that is it led me to Charlotte.
So go ahead and let's first contact. So I'm assuming maybe you heard from Coach Vic.
Yeah, it was a weird, crazy story he told me. I'd never spoken to Vic or any of the coaches. I knew Logan Poteet because I played with him in travel ball a little bit. So when he committed here, I congratulated him. That's awesome, whatever. Didn't really take it further from there. And we were both playing in the Appy League at the time. And I think like a week after he was at our game, I was just regular game, started a game. It was a doubleheader. I threw, finished the game, went into the clubhouse, and I had a text or a DM on Twitter from Big that was like, "Hey, dude, I'm at your game right now. This is my number. I'll be in the stands. Come find me." So I went into the stands and made my rounds with all the schools that were there to see me. And he was kind of standing at the end. And yeah, great first impression of Bick. He was there. He's like, "Coach Bicknell, associate head coach. We need you here tomorrow." And I think we set up a visit for the next day. And the craziest part about it was he wasn't there to watch me. I was told he was there to watch the opposing starting pitcher and then just happened to see me. So crazy coincidence, and I'm glad it happened.
All right, so we're glad too. You mentioned playing in the Appy League, and it's kind of in a transition. There used to be a minor league, rookie league, and now Major League Baseball is turning into a summer league for college players. Talk a little bit about the Appy League and your experience there. I think you were in Bluefield Rail Riders. Is that it?
Yeah, Bluefield Ridge Runners. It was a great experience. Yeah, it was exactly what I needed out of the summer. I mean, coming off a year of not playing a lot, I just wanted somewhere where I could take the ball every 7 days and kind of showcase myself, not only prove to schools trying to recruit me through the portal, but just to myself, like, yeah, I can do this. I'm a starting pitcher. I have what it takes. So just taking the ball every 7 days and doing what I can do. It was a great experience. My coaches there were amazing. The support there was amazing. It's a really great league.
So it's run by MLB now. Is there any connections with the big leagues or their organizations throughout the summer, or it's just down to that they just hire the coaches and select the players?
I mean, I don't think really that I was aware of. I'm sure there's a lot behind the scenes. Some of the managers kind of mentioned it. It's not stuff that the players see, but I know they're behind the scenes working with the league directly. So there's some of that.
So you told a Coach Big story, which we are always here for a Coach Big story. We love that. We keep threatening to start a whole different podcast where we just talk to Coach Big, and it'll go for hours because it could. But the one rule we've said is that we would start a podcast with Coach Big, and we would not talk baseball. We would talk movies, music, whatever, and it would just go for hours. And I think people would tune in because why wouldn't you? But I'll trade you a story for a story. The first time I ever heard your name, the staff was very excited about getting you here, about getting you signed. And one of the first things that I remember, it was actually Woody said about you was he asked you, how many innings do you think a starting pitcher should try to go? And do you remember what you said?
Yeah, all of them. Whole game.
All of them. And look what you did. Look what you did, Blake.
Yeah, I mean, that's the expectation. When you're the starting pitcher, you go until you can't. And it's an infinite game, but, hopefully the game's over after 9. So just kind of was the easy answer for me.
Yeah, that's the mentality starters have, right? I saw you earned, rightfully so, AAC Pitcher of the Week. The other guy that you shared it with, unfortunately, he only went 7 innings. You went 9. I said, if you're really the Pitcher of the Week, you'd go 9 innings. 7 innings is kind of weak, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't even paid attention to that, but
Hey, well handled, Blake. Well handled. So yeah, you were co-pitcher of the week from the conference, but just in case you're wondering, Blake, you are the Diamond Niner Report pitcher of the week.
Awesome. Means more.
We think so. Yeah, the league, I don't know what they were thinking, but whatever. It doesn't matter in the end. Both were two really nice performances, but we think you deserve the award by yourself. So we just gave you our own award. Right. So with talk a little bit, we're going to transition into something else here in a second, but obviously with a young man with your talents, you've got baseball aspirations, but tell the audience a little bit about what you're thinking about, like what's your major? What are you thinking about down the road? What might you want to do outside of baseball whenever that time comes?
Yeah, well, my major is health systems management, but I'm not too convicted of that yet. If baseball doesn't work out, I would love to coach, strength coach, pitching coach, something along those lines, just stay in the game as long as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if you're aware, Blake, but Charlotte has had a history of great players from Canada. Brad McElroy back in 2017, he was an All-American here. And, of course, David McCabe, recent grad, is playing with the Braves organization now. So I think we've got a pretty good pipeline. I don't know if you noticed, but Nick has a Canadian flag that he flies at the tailgates, and he had it flying proudly on Saturday for our tailgate out at Hayes.
Awesome, that's cool.
Yeah, we put the maple leaf up on Saturday in honor of your performance. It is signed by Big Maple and his dad, but now I need to get you and Gunderson to sign it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we're all about those imports from north of the border. We don't even mind paying taxes, tariffs, whatever. We don't care. We'll pay them because you guys have been so good for our program. So here's the thing, and we're going to do a little something different here. I'm sure by now you've heard that you're the second pitcher in program history to throw a no-hitter. Mm-hmm. Well, the other pitcher to throw a no-hitter, this guy named Ron Honeycutt, and he did that in 1987. And so we all went scrambling to figure out where in the world is Ron Honeycutt and what's he doing these days. Well, through our exhaustive research, we found Ron Honeycutt. And not only did we find him, he agreed to be here with us tonight. So producer Brad, let's bring in Ron Honeycutt from 1987, the other man to throw a no-hitter for the Charlotte 49ers. How are you, Ron?
I'm doing well. Congratulations, Blake. That was I've been waiting almost 38 years for somebody to do this, so but it's awesome.
Thank you.
So, Ron, you're in Redondo Beach, California, is that right?
I am. I'm in Redondo Beach, California. I spent some time in Florida, both Carolinas, Pittsburgh, Texas, and got to California 21 years ago and decided that was enough and stayed here. So, I've been in California for over 20 years now. So.
Man, that's awesome. We appreciate you making time for us. We're gonna let Blake kind of get back to his evening ritual, but we wanted to have both you guys in one place at one time, just because this is so rare. And like you said, it's a 30-year kind of thing. So to have both guys that did this in one place at the same time. I don't know. I'm getting chill bumps here, actually, just talking about it.
Yeah. Again, congratulations, Blake. Great job. So.
Thank you guys very much.
So, Ron, when Blake said his phone started blowing up on Friday night, which I'm sure it did, including from us, we were texting him. When did you find out? I mean, had you even given it a thought that whether anyone had ever done this again?
You know, it's interesting. I hadn't even thought about it until a couple years ago when the other fella got 8 2/3, and there was a Twitter came over, and I'm on a text stream with a bunch of old 49ers, and they said, hey, it held up, and your record's still there. And so that was honestly, I hadn't thought about it in 25 years, really, probably. And then about, I don't know, 4:45, I was actually in Park City, and I was exhausted from skiing, and all of a sudden I started getting messages and copies of tweets that Blake had thrown it, and I mean, he was one walk away from a perfect game, so really an outstanding performance.
So Blake, you hear that? The man's just trying to ski Park City, and you're not only getting your phone blown up, but you're getting his phone blown up. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I would love to go skiing with you.
Yeah, you got an invitation, and it's it's something that they can never take away from you. So it's something that'll be with you the rest of your life. So hopefully somebody else will do it again, and we'll do this again with 3 of us. So
yeah, let's do it.
Hey, you never know. Cribbs has looked pretty good, man. He has that look about him. We could be doing this again soon.
Absolutely, he's been on fire, and our whole staff has been. We've been throwing the ball really well.
That's awesome, man. Well, Blake, we're going to let you get back to your evening. We're going to talk to Ron a little bit here, but man, we just wanted to do this. This was like ever since Friday night. This was like we got to find Ron Honeycutt. We got to get Blake. We got to bring him in the same place, and if for no other reason, just to say we did it. I mean, that's our thing, right, Kevin?
That's right.
So we appreciate it, Blake. We're going to let you go, man. But thanks for everything. Thanks for the awesome job you're doing. Thanks for being in Charlotte. And, man, we'll see you down in Wilmington this weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, everybody. That was Blake Gillespie. Producer Brad's doing his thing here. There we go. Every once in a while, we throw producer Brad a curveball. He's not used to us bringing people in and out like this, so we're making him work overtime tonight. So we appreciate him. We appreciate him dealing with us as we throw him all these different curveballs. So, Ron, man, we just appreciate it so much for you agreeing to spend a little time with us tonight. Really, I guess so. You heard from Mark Cologne? I think that's who I reached out to.
Yeah, so Mark Cologne was the SID when I was there. I was at UNC Charlotte from 86 to 88, and Mark was the SID. And then he's kept in contact with Steve Tomanchek, who was catcher and still close to the program, I think. And so Mark had reached out to Steve, and I'm on a text stream with a bunch of old 49ers, Phil Culbreth and Barry Shiflett, Jeff Johnson, all those old guys. Gary Robinson was my coach. So that late 80s group, we still text and stay connected. And there's a golf trip. I've only made it 1 year actually, but those guys get together and we still stay connected. So they knew where to find me.
Ron, I know everybody's got a Gary story. I know you've got one. You just got to make it PG or PG-13 for us.
Yeah, then I have to just mute my microphone here.
Producer Brad will clean it up later.
So I actually have an interesting twist about Gary. So Gary's father was at Garinger High School where I went in Charlotte, and he was Gary's dad was at Garinger for a long time as a coach, and he's actually how I think he reached out to Gary and said you need to look at this kid when I was in 10th grade, and then Gary came over. I have the utmost respect for Gary, a great guy. Like I said, I don't know if I got a story I can tell you this PG, but I mean there.
Keep in mind, spent some time with Coach Robinson.
Yeah, I spent some time with Coach Robinson, and I was also fortunate to play for Steve Pope, who when I was at UNC Charlotte for 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, and I had a really good freshman year. Obviously, threw a no-hitter and was in the rotation. I wasn't in the conference rotation, but I was pitching most of the games out of conference midweek games. And I didn't play during the off season of my freshman year, which was a mistake. And I got a job, and that was, looking back, that was a mistake. I didn't have a good fall my sophomore year, and then I ended up not pitching a lot. And Steve Pope after the year was over, they called me in the office and basically said, Steve's got the head job at UNC Asheville. He needs players, and you need to pitch. You need as many innings as you can get, and the more innings we think you got talent, we think you got an opportunity potentially at the next level. But you need to get the ball. You're welcome to stay at UNC Charlotte, but Gary was very open about you got to earn your spot, and I appreciated that because he was honest with me. And so I actually transferred to UNC Asheville after my sophomore year, and then pitched there my junior and senior year. And was fortunate to play in the Valley League my junior year, and I got seen by a scout there. And then my senior year, so this is ironic about my no-hitter. I no-hit UNC Asheville in '87, and then came back in my senior year and beat UNC Charlotte at UNC Charlotte. So I don't know a lot of people that have done that. That's actually threw a no-hitter and then transferred to the school they no-hit and came back and beat the team that they transferred from. So I don't know how you put that in the record books, but that's an interesting one. But I had a great experience playing for both Gary and Steve Pope, and they're both good friends today.
Well, I'm gonna let you in on something, Ron. And producer Brad knows right where I'm going. Of course, Kevin does too. You have been on the podcast with another 49er pitcher that's thrown a no-hitter, but you're also on a podcast right now with two other Garinger grads.
No way.
I graduated from Garinger High School, and so did producer Brad.
Wow.
We are both Garinger grads. I was class of 96. Brad, what were you, 98?
2000.
2000. Okay. I was making you older than you are. So 96 and 2000. Garinger grads are everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yep. So
whenever we talk about, and Kevin, have you noticed, like, Garinger is not known for baseball, especially not these days. But whenever we start talking about old school baseball, we run into Garinger grads.
Yeah, like Mike Martin, for instance.
Yep. I mean, and every time we get into a conversation about, Garinger High School came up. I mean, Jason Hill didn't go to Garinger, but he would have gone to Garinger, and all his friends went to Garinger, and we ended up talking to him about that. And I mean, it's just the Garinger Alumni Network is more extensive than people know. Yep. And we're bi-coastal, apparently.
We are bi-coastal. I don't know if you guys remember Gene Brown. I mean, I don't know if that name rings a bell. He went to Citadel. He was. There's some good football players that came out of Garinger. But it's probably too old for this baseball podcast. But whatever. Gene was a good baseball player too. Mm-hmm. My father still lives in Mint Hill, so I still got ties to the Charlotte area. I still get back there. It's certainly not the place where I grew up. It's grown a lot and changed a lot, and the school has as well too. I mean, it's great to see what's become of UNC Charlotte, and to actually see a football team now, and the stadium looks amazing. But yeah, it's nice to see.
I don't want to derail the conversation too much, but if you went to Garinger, so where did you grow up in Charlotte?
Yeah, I grew up on Plaza Road, went to Cochran Junior High, and then Garinger High School. And, my father still lives there. My family's there. So all my relatives, I'm the only one that ever left. So my family's still around that area.
Okay.
So,
well, producer Brad grew up over Plaza Midwood Way. And I grew up in Hickory Grove.
Yeah. I know Hickory Grove well.
Yeah, so my dad still lives there. So
my dad worked at that A&P until they shut it down. I don't know if you remember the A&P over there. I think it was Eastwood Drive or something like that. But
Eastway, yeah.
Eastway Drive, yeah. He was a butcher there for 43 years. So small world.
Did you ever play? Did you ever play golf at the? What was the name of it?
Oh, right up the street there. Yeah, right on the corner of the plaza, and what was it? Because that was a Claude Harmon golf course.
Eastwood? Was that
Eastwood? Eastwood. There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to play there a lot.
Yeah, it's condos now, or townhomes. It's something they plowed it under. I always wondered how many golf balls they dug up when they plowed that place under.
Well, I know I put a few in that creek on 10, so quite a few.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much that. And Charles T. Myers, that's where I grew up playing golf as a teenager. So okay, all right, Kevin, I'm sorry. Kevin grew up in Durham, so he's like, What are we talking about? But why don't we talk a little bit about your no-hitter? Like, just share with us your memories of that ball game.
So it's interesting because I don't remember a lot of games, especially 30 some years later. But I remember having lunch. It was an afternoon game, and Jim Bretz, he's now a scout and I think for the Tigers, but we were having lunch together, and he lived down the hall in the dorm, and he's like, hey, you need to be careful with these guys. He's like, they got a scrappy team. Make sure you. So anyway, I distinctly remember that conversation, and I was only supposed to pitch 5 innings, and one of my really good friends during college, Frank Coar, was supposed to pick 6, 7, 8, and then we had the guy coming in to pitch the 9th. So the game was kind of sketched out. So after the 5th inning, I hadn't given up any hits, and I remember coming in the dugout, and Gary's like, "You got one more." He's like, "We got to get these other guys some work, but I'm gonna let you stay in because you hadn't given up a hit." So I'm like, "Okay." So and I didn't really think about it. I mean, it's the 5th inning, right? So I went back out for the 6th and no hits, and then Gary just kind of gave me like a stink eye almost, and I just went sat on the end of the bench, and everybody kind of went, and I actually even asked. I think I asked Pope, like, "Am I still in?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're in." So the 7th, I kind of the same thing. Although the 7th was, I think because I walked 5 or 6 that day, and that probably helped. Some of the guys that might have would have got a hit, and I walked them so they couldn't get one. So sometimes it helps you to get a hit. But I had a rough 7th inning, and the pitch count was starting to get up, but I still hadn't given up a hit. And so Gary's like, "Look, I know you got a no hitter, but as soon as you give up a hit, you're out." And he's like, "I'm gonna let you go back out for the 8th." And just as luck has it, the 8th inning, I think it was 4 or 5 pitches. It was literally 4 or 5 pitches, which helped. And then I went out for the 9th and got 3 outs. So I still remember that. It's interesting that Twitter, and we didn't have cell phones back then, so nobody really knew. That was one of the games I actually remember. There's a few I remember, but that one I distinctly remember.
So that game was on campus, right?
It was on campus. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
tell us a little bit about. I mean, I'm sure you've seen videos of how, or I don't know if you've been back to campus in a while. Talk a little bit about the baseball facility back in '87.
Yeah, it was. So I've just seen pictures. I haven't actually seen the new stadium, but there was a little narrow bleacher area right behind home plate, and then there was some woods behind it actually, where a lot of the guys would go hang out. A lot of the pitchers, and there wasn't really a separate bullpen. I mean, the field was nice. I mean, it was a great field at the time. I mean, compared to now, it's certainly not great, but for a kid from Garinger High School pitching at UNC Charlotte, I mean, that was a Taj Mahal for me. I mean, it was a great stadium. But chain link fence in the back, and but it was a great stadium.
Now, and I'm sure Mark has probably told you, but the facility has changed, but the dimensions of the field are exactly right where they were. In fact, they put up a plaque a few years ago that home plate has never moved. And Gary, and a lot of those players at the time went out there and like physically worked on that field. And it is like you said, it's been upgraded, it's been altered, but it has never been moved.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, the location of it, and the way it sits in the background with the campus in the background. I mean, it is a beauty. And I don't know how the back of it looks, but I just remember the wooded area in the back was kind of a cool backdrop. That was until we went and played Tennessee, and then they had Fraternity Row behind their home plate. So I thought, well, that was kind of cool too. But anyway, I still have fond memories of the UNC Charlotte stadium.
Yeah, and then those like if you went out the back from home plate, behind the bleachers, those woods you're talking about back there, you wouldn't go too far these days because you'd run into the football stadium.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's right where it sat. The first thing they did with it was they back in our day, those were they cut down the trees and leveled it off and turned them into rec fields. And so it was like a 2-level flat rec fields. And that's where we used to tailgate for baseball. And we organize, remember, Kevin, we would organize wiffle ball games during pregame tailgates on Saturdays on those rec fields. And then they came along, which we were more than fine with. We were in full support of. They came along and said, well, you're not going to be able to hang out here anymore because this is a construction zone. And they tore it all up and built Jerry Richardson Stadium, which has been, obviously we view as a good thing.
Sure. Very cool. Yeah.
Now, the coolest thing for a baseball player, the coolest thing you might appreciate is when they built the football stadium, they built the field house. And so the weight room is there. So our guys are still they're using the locker room across the street at the field house. But when they go to lift or want to do anything like that, they're going right there to the football stadium. So before that, they were going up to Halton Arena. Where did you guys work out back in the day?
I mean, we were in the gym up on the top of the hill there, and and then there were a couple guys that had cars, and this one fellow, Terry Hill, had an old Ranchero that everybody would jump in the back of, and it was like you wanted to get to the locker room early enough to make sure you jumped in the back of Terry's Ranchero so you could drive down to the field and didn't have to walk. And then same thing on the way back. As a pitcher, you run a lot, and the last thing you want to do is walk back up that hill to the gym. So, those are fond memories.
Well, obviously your no-hitter is probably one of your top memories of your career at Charlotte. Anything else stand out to you that you remember fondly from your time at Charlotte?
That big game.
I mean, like I said, a lot of friends there. It was fun to come back and pitch against them. Baseball is really secondary. I mean, what you miss is the relationships and the people, and you miss the competition and the friends. The guys that I play with at UNC Charlotte, I still consider to be dear friends with, and they still mean a lot to me. And that's what the games and that kind of stuff. Like I said, you forget about all that most of the time, and every now and then you remember something like this, but that's what you miss when you get older, and you're out of the game and you're not playing is the people that you meet and the friendships and just hanging with the guys.
Yeah. So and I so identified with what you were talking about with the lack of social media and people not knowing that it had happened. I remember, all four of us would get up in the morning, and check the newspaper to check scores. You would look up box scores, right? Sure. Or because you didn't know. Well, oh man, I wonder what happened. So when you get into that ninth inning and you record that final out, like, what happens then? Set the scene for us when you finally break through. Coach Robinson's probably still glaring at you.
He actually said, "You know what you just did?" I said, "Yeah." I mean, but I think it's kind of like Blake's mindset. It's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, you just kind of like, okay. I mean, like, you don't try to do it. It just happens. And I think everybody's excited for you probably more than you are yourself. I mean, for myself, I'd have been happy with just a win and going out and pitching well and representing my school and my teammates, that day. And just, it just happened to get, nobody got a hit. That's kind of what I took from listening to Blake was he's just out there doing his job. And yeah, it's an individual accolade and it's nice. But I mean, in the end of it, they got the win, you go to the next game and, you try to do it every time, but I mean, it's not realistic. It's just not going to happen. It just doesn't happen very often. So again, I think it's fun, but I think as a pitcher, really, you don't get a no hitter without 8 other guys behind you making great plays. You got to have a good rapport with your catcher. You got to get a couple calls from the umps. I mean, you got to have some luck, right? So, I mean, so I don't know that, at least me, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, what do you do next? I mean, like, give me the ball 5 days later and let's see if we can do it again. So.
Well, did Coach Robinson move? Did you stay on the weekday after that, or did you?
No, I
changed his alteration. It didn't change his handling of you.
It didn't change, I mean, it didn't change. We had a pretty good staff. I mean, like I said, I had a great freshman year. I got as many innings as I could handle, and I pitched. I mean, I did pitch some on the weekends and in relief. I was fairly fortunate. I had a rubber arm and rarely got sore. So, one of the things when the fella almost did it a couple of years ago was kids just don't pitch 9 innings anymore. So, no hitters and are so rare now because you don't get a chance to go, that's, and his pitch count was 115 or 113 I read, which is phenomenal. But had his pitch count been at 130, they probably would have pulled him, right? I mean, the times have changed. Baseball has changed in terms of letting pitchers, throw 145, 150, and you just don't get that many pitches anymore. I can't tell you how many I threw that day, but I know walking 6 and pitching 9. I mean, I was never a quick, and that was, one of my detriments was, I threw too many pitches, but I'm sure I was well above 130. So I think it's hard in today's game for people to get no hitters just because of pitch counts and you don't train, so you get tired easier. I think that leads to a lot of it. So it makes it a little bit more rare now, but that's just the game as it is today.
Right. A lot of folks are training the velo, and the velo is leading a lot of it, but it's hard to throw 100 pitches that are 100 miles an hour.
Right.
Without something going wrong. But that's the way the game's been trending for a little while. I wanted to ask you, so what are you up to these days out in California?
Yeah, so I after UNC Charlotte, I got a chance to sign with the Braves as a free agent and pitched a year in the Gulf Coast League in Bradenton, Florida. Went back to spring training and then spent 6 weeks in spring training. I actually thought I had a chance to make the team. I needed to make AA because I was 22, and there was 3 AA teams, or 3 A-ball teams at the time that fed into 1 AA, 1 AAA, and at 22, I was old to go back to A-ball. But I was the last person left with 1 day left in spring training. So I actually called my father and said, I think I'm going to make it. That was, but I ended up getting released on the last day of spring training, and then went and got a job. I got a job in Pittsburgh selling medical devices. Just got lucky. Answered an ad in the newspaper again, pre-internet, right? I would go to I graduated with a biology degree. Started selling medical devices in Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Rochester. Worked for that company for 3 years. Transferred to Kimberly-Clark. They have a medical device division, and I didn't really like those products, so I was only there for a couple years. And then 1997, I started working for Boston Scientific, which is a big medical device company. My specific area was gastroenterology, which is, I kind of got lucky there, to be honest with you. The field grew. I spent years as a sales rep, sales manager, sales director, new business development, went in on the corporate side, did strategy, capital equipment, and then actually January the 3rd of this year retired. So I am unemployed right now. So but by design. So I had a great career. I had a good run. So now I'm golfing and skiing and hanging out with my kids. So, and that's why I moved around a lot. So I was willing, and any advice I would give young people is run to the fire, take opportunities, go where they need help. Don't be afraid to move. Don't be afraid to take a chance. And, I'd never been north of Virginia in my life when I moved to Pittsburgh. And the only time I'd been, Virginia was when I played in the Valley League. As a local kid, my family's all from Charlotte. Nobody ever left. I was fortunate baseball gave me the chance to go to college. Nobody else in my family ever went. And I took advantage of it. And I have no regrets about pro baseball. I gave it, there were 43 kids on that team. I've got a team picture, and one made it to the big leagues. And that was Chipper Jones. He was the first pick in the draft. He was a shortstop that year, and I think he hit 180, and I can't tell you how many balls I threw that went through his legs. I'm like, my gosh, how's this kid the first pick in the draft? But they got it right? So, but everybody there is good, and trying to get to the big leagues or making a career out of baseball is a really long road. Take the opportunity to get your degree, and then the sports is such a great metaphor for business. The competitiveness, the willing to work, the attitude, the team camaraderie, all that. It just sets you up, especially in a sales environment. I mean, it just fit with my personality, and I was fortunate enough to work with some great people and great companies, and I feel very blessed.
Yeah, that Chipper guy, he did all right.
He did well. I'm telling you, I mean, I literally, he showed up 2 days after I got there, and I actually bought him beer all summer because there were only 3 of us that were older than 21. But he got $250,000 to sign, and he showed up in a black Corvette, which by the way now is probably $250,000 for a new Corvette, but back then they weren't that much. But he was a nice guy. He was a young kid, but it was interesting. And when you go back and you look at all the players, and like I said, 43 guys on that team, and one guy made it. The odds are slim to make a living doing this. But my advice to anybody is get a degree, and the friendships and people you meet, that'll last a lifetime. So.
It sounds like you're still used to getting heckled from the stands too, and except maybe it's the kitchen.
That's my wife. So,
we're all used to that, aren't we, Kevin?
That's right. We are.
That's good heckling, though. I'll take that all day. So she's my number one fan. So I'll take it all day. So
you mentioned making it to the bigs. You played with a couple of guys like Charlotte that made it to the bigs, and you mentioned him earlier, Jeff Johnson. I was a Yankees fan growing up, and I actually saw him pitch at Yankee Stadium, which is really cool because he was from the same town that I was from in Durham. He was born in Durham, but he went to South Granville High School. You got a Jeff Johnson story?
Gosh. Yeah. So I don't know if I want to share some of those.
It's just like the Cody Robinson story.
I don't know how things. I mean, it's probably the same nowadays. Yeah, I mean, Jeff was a year older than me, and I played with him 2 years, and he was a mentor. Great left-handed pitcher, and I actually got a chance to see him pitch. I was working in New York after I got released, and went to New Jersey with my first job in Pennsylvania for training. And the Yankees happened to be in town, and I literally called Yankee Stadium and somehow got into the clubhouse, and I got Jeff on the phone, and he left me tickets, and I literally drove a car in the Bronx and parked it. And I didn't know if I'd ever see it again. To go see him play. Yeah, I mean, Jeff's a good guy. Him and Jeff Shore were roommates at the time. We all miss Jeff, and God rest his soul. great guys. Both those guys are just great guys.
Now, you did mention that you had kids. Did you get a baseball fix over the years by being involved with baseball with them? Did any of them play any sports? Maybe you got a competitive fix through that avenue.
Great question. So I have two sons and a daughter. My oldest is a 20-year-old at University of Oregon now studying business, and about 10 years. I mean, he was obviously in all sports when he was little: soccer, football, baseball, basketball, and Dad's kind of pushing him. He eats left-handed and he writes left-handed, which tells you I tried to really make him a left-handed pitcher, and the kid's right-handed. He does everything else right-handed, but he always got a fork in his left hand. At about 10 years old, he said, "Dad, I don't like baseball. It's too slow. I just don't like it." And I'm like, "Okay, son." So anyway, he ended up playing high school basketball and football, and was a good athlete in high school. Wasn't good enough to play in college, which is fine. He wanted to go to bigger school. My middle son is autistic, and so he hasn't been able to play sports. But my daughter's a pretty competitive soccer player, and she's 15 and in ninth grade now. So it's been fun watching the kids play. I was always, my parents. My dad's a NASCAR fan. He was never a sports guy. I rode my bike to practice. I remember coming home and saying, "Hey, they asked me if I wanted to play American Legion ball," and my dad was like, "As long as you can get there, I mean, I don't care." So, and being a butcher, the grocery store, the butcher shop's open, and so you work nights and weekends, and a lot of times, they wouldn't be at the games, and so. I just grew. I don't know how I got really. I'm 6'2", and my dad's 5'7". My mom was 5'1". My sister's 5'2". I'm kind of an outlier. So if I didn't look just like my dad, you'd maybe wonder. But so I always kind of felt like my kids would migrate and move towards whatever really their passion was. And I was allowed that as a kid. And it's interesting looking back, some of the life lessons your family teaches you, maybe indirectly versus directly. And my parents allowed me to explore and be the person that I wanted to be and go do things. And they never held me back from anything. But they also never forced me into doing anything either. And so I kind of use that same parenting outlook as basically, if the kid doesn't want to play baseball, I'm not going to make him, and I'm not going to force him, just, so I can get some satisfaction out of it. Honestly, I wish I've got a buddy that was a college golfer, and that's the sport you should play, because you can do that year round. I mean, he never breaks 80. He's always in the 70s because he knows how to play golf. But always looking back, I mean, if you learn how to play golf and you play golf in college, you're always you can play golf till you're 80, right? So baseball, you kind of like, you can play in some hardball leagues or whatever, but that's, my arm's shot. I mean, that's not fun. So, anyway, you spend all this time and effort becoming a pretty good baseball player, and then all of a sudden it just stops. And at least for me, you look for that competitive, you want to find that somewhere. And unfortunately, I found it in business, and then was able to, I like to play golf, and like I said, ski. I've done a bunch of half Ironmans and marathons and stuff like that, just to try to keep something going. So.
Kevin, didn't you show your wife an ad this week for a over 45 baseball league in town?
I did. They're looking for pitchers, but yeah, there's the old man softball route that I played a little bit, but yeah, it doesn't do much for pitchers. No, it's hard to. I mean, you have to train, right? I mean, it's like it's really hard. It's a tough sport to just pick up and drop. So, yeah, I just kind of let it go. I'm like, all right, well, that's the end of that. So,
I don't know how it goes out your way, but Charlotte area corporate softball league is really, really competitive. Kevin comes back and tells me stories about who he's playing with. He runs into a lot of our former players that go to work at Bank of America and Wachovia. But Kevin, who's probably the most famous person you've run across?
Believe it or not, Ray Durham, the second baseman for the White Sox.
Sure.
He grew up in Charlotte, and
Harding High School.
yeah, he hit the ball. He hit the ball so hard, softball's big, so it just knuckled. And it's really not fair having a guy like that on a softball field.
It's almost dangerous, right?
It is.
Kevin was playing left field, and I think he still got hit by the ball.
Yeah, the ball was knuckling so much. Went to catch it with my glove hand, my left hand. The ball hit me in the knee.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's discouraging when you're in your 30s and 40s and you go out there and you see 20-some-year-old guys that played college baseball on the other side of the field, and you're like, oh, this is not going to be fun.
Right.
Didn't you literally run into Logan Shearer? Logan was our first baseman and a really great hitter. Didn't you run into him literally almost the year after he graduated?
Yeah, I think so.
he's playing first base for the Niners, and then he's playing old man softball against Kevin. Oh, I'm a loan officer at the bank now.
Right. No, it's hard. It's hard to walk away. I mean, it's you grow up playing this game since you're a little kid, and all of a sudden it's like you want to keep playing. So.
All right, Kevin, I guess it's about time to cap this off. Producer Brad and the folks at corporate have been so kind with us, letting us just go a little longer here tonight. If Ron, if you don't mind, hang with us just for a minute. We're going to wrap the show up, and if you can hang around for just a couple more minutes, we'll say our goodbyes. But for the rest of you, we're going to say goodbye now. That's all the time we've got for tonight. Hope you have enjoyed this, because this is going to go down as one of my favorites for sure. Hopefully you are enjoying this as much as we have enjoyed making it for you. But if you are enjoying it, again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. You can also find it on Spotify. You can also find Diamond Niner Report on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but never TikTok. We are looking forward to an exciting weekend of Niners baseball. If you're going down to Wilmington or up to Boone, make sure and check us out there. I think we'll be in all those places. And, of course, we'll be at the Hayes on Wednesday night. So always reach out, social media, say hello. But if you're old-fashioned like we are, just see us in the stands and come up and say hello, because we love talking to people that enjoy the show. So, okay, this has been Nick. For Kevin, for producer Brad, and for Blake Gillespie and Ron Honeycutt, we will see you at the Hayes.